Trades, everywhere trades. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Scott McGregor. Welcome to Trade Deadline Week on Sports for Beginners. Welcome to the 22nd of season number 4. Lots to take in. Let's get started. Welcome to Sports for Beginners. This is the show where I cover the Pittsburgh Penguins, Toronto Blue Jays, and take you on a journey through the world of sports. From the fans' perspective, here is your host, Scott McGregor. Let's have some fun. Hello, baseball fans. Hello, sports fans in general, especially those who love the trade season. My name is Scott McGregor. Welcome to Sports for Beginners. This is episode number 22 of season number 4, and it's a good one. Over the course of the program, we will be sharing the screen to highlight trades both from the Toronto Blue Jays and elsewhere around the majors. As the trade deadline gets closer, we also have a timer here running until 6:01 p.m. Eastern Time. That also would be 3:01 p.m. Pacific Time, 5:01 p.m. Central, which is when the trade deadline is. The trade deadline is at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Mountain itself. Before we jump into the trades, this is also going to showcase a Blue Jays recap. Not like Blue Jays game recap, but it will be a recap of the games leading in to the trade deadline, which is today at the day of our recording, Thursday, July 31st, 2025. The show itself will be launched over the course of the weekend and maybe tomorrow, August 1st, Friday, 2025, which is August 1st, 2025. That is a Friday, tomorrow. As always, we'll lead things off in our show lineup. We will do a lead off. And our lead-off topic for this episode is Blue Jays finding ways to win baseball games even when they are down. We'll talk about that. In the middle portion, the trade deadline moves at the 2025 trade deadline so far for the Toronto Blue Jays will be touched on. That's in our middle. At the halfway point, we'll be talking about who could be next to be traded by the Blue Jays. And of course, we close off in last call on the next episode of Sports for Beginners. Look around the podcast. What is going around the podcast elsewhere? All right, so that's a quick episode overview. Before we jump to the lead off, since we are going to be talking Blue Jays, let's take a look at our ongoing action. Only 3 games set to go today. We are actually watching a game as we come on here. I'm not going to share that tab, but that is the only game on right now. That is the Tampa Bay Rays playing against the New York Yankees. That is the series finale of, I should say, a series finale of Rays and Yankees. Our score right now is 7-4 in the top of the 4th inning. Coming up after the trade deadline, which is at 6 p.m. Eastern, at about 7:10 p.m. Eastern, we've got the Braves taking on the Cincinnati Reds, weather permitting. And then, of course, 40 minutes after 9 p.m. Eastern, it's the Seattle Mariners playing host of the Texas Rangers. Andrew Abbott will go for the Cincinnati Reds against Carlos Carrasco, who will be going for the Atlanta Braves. Now, those matchups could change before the deadline is up, but we will wait and see. I don't think they will. In the Texas Rangers Seattle Mariners matchup, we got Kumar Rocker going for the, I'll go with K Rocker going for the Texas Rangers. George Kirby is going for the Seattle Mariners. That's a look at our action today. Right now, the current standings Based on the teams playing today, the Texas Rangers are 52, 57, and 52. The Seattle Mariners are also 57 and 52. The Cincinnati Reds 57 and 52, going against the 45 and 65 Atlanta Braves. And as we prepare to share the screen to show what the American League standings look like, especially in the American League East, you have the right now, as the game is going on, right now, the 59 and 49 New York Yankees against the 54 and 55 Tampa Bay Rays. Tampa Bay one game under 500, but a surprise win as they are trailing the Yankees right now. A surprise win would put them at 500. Meanwhile, the Baltimore Orioles 50 and 59. They are idle and will be back in action on Friday. They are 9 games below 500. Boston Red Sox have a couple of games above 500. They would need to lose a few games to go to 59 and 59. At that point in time, the Tampa Bay Rays would take over. And 10 games above 500 are the New York Yankees. They are at 59 and 49. They would go to 11 games above 500 if they are able to pull off a win against the Tampa Bay Rays. And then, of course, the Blue Jays record, they are idle today, but they have a 4-game lead over the New York Yankees. That would go to 3.5 if the Yankees can win this game. They also have a 5-game lead on the Boston Red Sox. They are 9.5 games on top of the Tampa Bay Rays and 13.5 games above the Baltimore Orioles. So should the Yankees lose, they would go to 4.5, and the Tampa Bay Rays would go to 9 games back of the division. In the American League wildcard, while we stay on a shared screen here, both the Tigers and the Blue Jays have the same record at 64 and 46, and they are both on a winning streak. But right now, Toronto is actually not number 1 in the American League after being number 1 in the league for, not to quote Dan Schulman, but 2.5 months. And you'd like to think the sky was falling. Well, Caleb Joseph on the broadcast before the 9-8 win over the Orioles was there to tell you on that broadcast that the sky is not falling for the Toronto Blue Jays, though it looked that way. The Houston Astros are 3rd in the entire American League. They are at 62 and 47. And of course, the AL wildcard right now belongs to 4 teams: the Yankees, Red Sox, Mariners, and Rangers. Why does it have the Rangers there? Well, because the Mariners and the Rangers have the same record at 52, 57, and 52. That's going to be interesting to see how it pans out. Again, we're keeping an eye on the ongoing action. Only game ongoing right now is Tampa Bay and the Yankees. As we showed in our scoreboard earlier, the Yankees are leading 7-4 in the 4th inning. They're in the bottom of the 4th as we speak with you. Actually, they are heading from the bottom of the 4th to the top of the 5th as we speak with you. You can watch the game on FanDuel Sports Network Tampa Bay, or FanDuel Sports Network Sun, rather. And of course, the game for Yankee fans is available on the Yes Sports Network. FanDuel Sports Network Ohio has the game of the Reds and the Braves. It also is available on MLB Network for Cincinnati Red viewers. And the Mariner game, well, we'll get to that later. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break because I haven't gotten into leadoff yet. When we return, we'll get into the leadoff and we'll talk about the Blue Jays finding ways to win even when they're down, specifically referring to, we're not going to go too far back, but we're going to go back to the 7-game road trip that led to 4 games in 3 days against the Baltimore Orioles, and of course, the 4 games in a couple of days down in the Motor City. I'll remind you of the final scores, but I won't go too far in. I will, however, pick key standouts from the game, and we'll do that next as the trade deadline show continues. We'll get into the trades once our leadoff is done. You're listening to Sports for Beginners, the podcast. Don't worry, the meat of the show is just beginning. The trades are coming up. We'll be right back. Looking for a good hockey podcast that covers your favorite hockey teams and mine? Check out On the Ice and Behind the Benches, where we chat about our favorite hockey teams from puck drop to the last play of the action. To learn more, follow the On the Ice and Behind the Benches Facebook page. Search On the Ice and Behind the Benches.
I wonder if I could make it. It's almost getting to 8 o'clock p.m., and I am still a few more steps away from home to get to my computer to listen to CNT Radio's Cosmopolitan Culture Club. The best of the best music from around the world. Can't wait. I think I made it. CNT Radio, making your day brighter, one song at a time.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Sports for Beginners, episode 22 of season 4. We're currently keeping tabs on the ongoing action. Only 3 games on the slate today. At the day of our recording, which is Thursday, July 31st, 2025. That is MLB trade deadline day, which is today. And Tampa Bay Rays, Jonathan Aranda, looks like he is going to be out of this ball game, and it also looks like it is raining down at Yankee Stadium. Yes, Brandon Lau will take over at first base, and Caballero is going to take over in Aranda's spot and play second base. Okay, let's talk Blue Jays, because that's what we wanted to lead off with here in the first place. Here we go. Of course, there's a lot of trades coming in right now as we get closer to the deadline. Not very many involving the Blue Jays. But speaking of the Blue Jays, they did make a trade during the doubleheader, acquiring Sir Anthony Dominguez. We'll get to that in a second. But Blue Jay fans, look, I agree with Caleb Joseph, who was on the call with Dan Schulman on Sportsnet for the action going down in Blue Jays land these past couple of days. And again, for 2.5 months, the Toronto Blue Jays were the big dogs. They have been the big dogs in all of baseball in the American League for 2.5 months. But it quickly shows that if you keep thinking, we're fine, we're gonna be good. Yeah, you better think twice. So the Blue Jays swept the Giants at home, but then they took 2 of 3 against the New York Yankees. The team we have been talking about right off the jump, who is in play right now live against the Tampa Bay Rays, and they are, as we speak, I had to take off the web player there for the game because it was interfering. I was actually watching the game as we continue to keep tabs on it, but they are in the bottom of the 5th, And of course, Braves, Reds, Mariners, and Rangers coming up later tonight. Anyways, that game, Yankees and the Rays, is in the bottom of the fifth. Anyways, let's go to the 4-game, well, actually 8-game road trip with, no, actually it's a 7-game road trip. No, it's an 8-game because they had a doubleheader on the Tuesday, but 3 days in Baltimore. Wow. And he played doubleheader in Baltimore. So the Blue Jays start off on the road on the right foot. Oh, by the way, when they were on a 4-game winning streak, when they were at home, they lost that middle game of the 3 game set against the Yankees. They then were able to start a 1, 2, 4, another 4-game winning streak in which they defeated the Yankees to take the series 2 out of 3 against the Yankees at home and finish 5-1 in the first homestand of the second half of the season. The Blue Jays pick up 3 wins in Detroit, take the series against Detroit, but they lost the finale of that game 10-4, which started a losing streak. The 4-game winning streak was cut short in Sunday. Could have been 5, but they lost 10-4. Make it a 2-game losing streak as they lose the opener in Baltimore on Monday by a final score of 11-4. They got pounded in the day game of the doubleheader on Tuesday, 16-4. And then just before game 2, Sir Anthony Dominguez is switching the orange and white for the blue and white. That's right, Blue Jay fans and fans of baseball in general. It was on that day, that specific day, on the Tuesday, that the Blue Jays made the move to acquire Sir Anthony Dominguez. Oh, and speaking of guys trading jerseys, the other player involved in the trade was Joan Watts Brown. Watts Brown. He was trading Blue Jays gear for Baltimore gear. He is the Blue Jays' number 5 prospect pitcher. So pitchers were changing uniforms. Sir Anthony Dominguez going to the Blue Jays. He was an Oriole till about 5 o'clock on the Tuesday, and then about 6:20, according to TSN. I have the trading area up here as well. According to 6:20 p.m. Eastern time, when the deal was actually made official, Sir Anthony Dominguez is going to the Blue Jays, and he has reported to the team. Joan Watts Brown is also heading to the Orioles. I would think he was heading to the Orioles, but also probably going to head to their minor league complex. Anywho, the Blue Jays get swept in the doubleheader. They lose the nightcap 3-2, which I'll take it. It's way better than losing 16-4, going down touchdowns in football cases, which they did against Detroit in the last game of the series. Again, they lost 10-4. And then, of course, in the opener, they lost 11-4. The Blue Jays also beat Detroit by that same score, 11-4, but they lost to Baltimore 11-4 in the opener of the Baltimore series. The regularly scheduled game on Tuesday took place at its time, but first we had to flip the page back to April 11th, 2025, because that game was the day game scheduled to go at 12:35 p.m. Eastern. Then, of course, day game after a night game on a Wednesday. This time, the Blue Jays, at this point in time, the Blue Jays had dropped 5 straight games. They dropped game 1 to Baltimore, game 4 of the 4-game series against Detroit. Then they dropped the doubleheader, which was game 2 and game 3. So actually, that was a 4-game losing streak. It almost ended up being a 5-game losing streak. The Blue Jays right now on a 1-game winning streak, heading home to take on the Kansas City Royals. And there's not much that I could say as takeaways, but I will say the trade, which is a good segue into our trades segment coming up next. The trade on the Tuesday for Sir Anthony Dominguez, that was to me, that was a what are you doing? Now keep in mind, fans, it wasn't a mid-game trade, though it kind of seems like a mid-game trade. I do like the move by the Jays, but I kind of would have preferred they wait till after the doubleheader, before the game on Wednesday would have been a good idea. But hey, you know what? It was after game one of the doubleheader, so I'll take it. All right, more trades coming up, including a most recent trade by the Blue Jays earlier today. They acquired Shane Bieber for Cal Steven in Blue Jay news. And breaking news, as we get closer to 3 o'clock, is 2:50 p.m. right now as I have it going here. Some quick breaking news. The New York Yankees have made a trade with the Pittsburgh Pirates, but we don't know what the Pirates are getting. We do know that they are trading, according to TSN here, they are trading David Bednar. My goodness. Oh, and I just want to remind everybody the current game of the Yankees and the Rays, which is 7-4 Yankees, is delayed in the bottom of the 5th inning with Jason Dominguez and Jazz Chisholm Jr. base. And at the time, Kevin Kelly is on the mound. So we have a delay in the bottom of the 5th of that game. And then, of course, the Reds, Braves, Mariners, and Rangers getting set to go later on this evening. All right, we are about 3 hours and 8 minutes. Well, actually, 3 hours and 7 minutes to be exact, away from the trade deadline itself. So who else will be traded before the 6 p.m. deadline? We'll quickly go over the notable trades next on Sports for Beginners on this day so far. And then, of course, we will wait to hear who's going where in what trades that have a TBA, which leads into the question I have at the halfway mark. Who could be traded next by the Blue Jays? I don't feel like Kevin Gausman, who, according to CBS Sports, is scheduled to make the start Friday against the Royals. I don't feel the Blue Jays would trade him before the deadline. I really don't. But they miss out on Dave Bednar, who is heading to the New York Yankees. For what? We don't know yet. We are about 3 hours now and 5 minutes away. So we're going to take a timeout. When we come back, who's been traded so far? Who could be next for the Blue Jays? We're segueing into the halfway mark of the show. And the middle portion of the show, we kind of jumped in there during the leadoff, which was put into a two-parter. Don't expect that to happen too often, but we did do it. And also, for all of our football fans out there, some tragic news coming out of Buffalo. The Buffalo Bills have reported that they are saddened to hear about the passing of someone close to the Bills. Who is that? Stay tuned to find out. You'll find out next. Looking for a sports podcast that covers sports weekly as well as gets you set up for the day? Check out Weekly in Sports with me, Scott McGregor. We give some shout-outs of the week to podcasts like this one and those who do them. Discuss the Blue Jays, Bills, Raptors, and more. To learn more, check out the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners.
Looking for conversations on the world of broadcasting, sports media, and from time to time, my favorite sports teams? Listen to Broadcast Map with me, Ali Musa. To learn more about the show, And to view the upcoming schedule, like the Broadcast Map Facebook page. Search Broadcast Map.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to our trade deadline special. As we mentioned earlier on, this is actually yesterday that the Bills posted this. It's on their Twitter page. I know people call it X, but I will call it Twitter. Also, before I get to this sad news, I want to let everyone know that we are exactly 3 hours away from 6 p.m. Eastern time, which is the trade deadline. So we will be hearing about who else is traded before then as we inch closer to the other two games getting set to go in today's MLB action. Going to get to the trades in just a moment, but I'd like to read a statement from the Buffalo Bills saying that we are saddened to learn that Nicole Fisher, wife of Bills area scout Brian Fisher, has passed away, sending all our love and deepest condolences to the Fisher family and friends. My thoughts and condolences are with Brian and his family. I also did not know Bill's area scout, Brian Fisher. So all of us here at Sports for Beginners hope that everything is going well in this difficult time. And ladies and gentlemen, at this time, before we continue on, I would like to quickly do a 2 minute of silence in honor of Nicole Fisher, who yesterday passed away. What did she pass away by? That remains a mystery. We don't know what the cause of death was, and of course, we don't know what led to this happening. We're going to do this for the Fisher family and the friends of the Fishers, and then we'll get right back to talking trades. Again, as the Bills posted on Twitter, they said, we are saddened to learn that Nicole Fisher, wife of Bill's area scout Brian Fisher, has passed away, sending all of our love and deepest condolences to the Fisher family and friends. With that, let our 2 minutes of silence. Thank you. That is a quick 2 minutes of silence, and we are now 2 hours, 53 minutes away from the 6 p.m. trade deadline for the MLB trade deadline day today. Of course, this is dropping maybe on a Friday, could drop over the course of the weekend. Regardless, it is being recorded on the day before, which is trade deadline day today, Thursday, July 31st, 2025. Trade. We do know that there is probably a third player right now in the Yankees Pirates deal, but we have learned that catchers Edglin Perez and Rafael Flores are heading to Pittsburgh from that trade breaking at 3:23 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, these trades yet haven't really been made official yet, but we are learning that Rafael Flores and Edglin Perez are heading to Pittsburgh. What we do know yet from the 2 o'clock hour, Henry Mendez and Jeremy Valerio, Jeremy GV is what I'll say, are heading to the Minnesota Twins from the Philadelphia Phillies in exchange for the Philadelphia Phillies to receive center fielder Harrison Bader. He is going to the Philadelphia Phillies. The Detroit Tigers are making some trades here. At 2:47 p.m. Eastern, they traded Josh Randall and RJ Sales to the Washington Nationals for Kyle Flanagan. I'm going to go with Kyle F, just in case I pronounced that wrong. A little earlier there at 12:20, we got a massive deal here. Mason Miller and JP Sears going from the Athletics to the Padres. The Athletics are getting a shortstop in Leodos de Verais. I'll go with LDV. If I pronounce that wrong, I apologize to the family and, of course, the player in general if I pronounce it wrong. The Athletics also receiving from the Padres Henry Baez, Edmiro Nunez, and Interesting. Shortstop heading to the Athletics. Cleveland Guardians were making some morning news. They traded Shane Bieber to the Blue Jays for Cal Stevenson. For K. Stevenson. I'll go with K. Steven. Cash considerations or PTBNL is coming up in a trade that they made at 10:48 a.m. Eastern Time, where they sent pitcher Paul Sewald to the Tigers. Paul Sewald is a pitcher that will be heading to Detroit, as is Shane Bieber. Huge news broke at 1:21 a.m. yesterday, so just an hour after midnight, but the trade actually went down at midnight as Eugenio Suarez trades the Diamondbacks for the Seattle Mariners. On the way from Seattle to Arizona is Tyler Locklear, third baseman, pitcher Hunter Cranton, and pitcher Juan Burgos. Still quite a lot of trades being made, and we don't necessarily know yet what the Dodgers trade to the Minnesota Twins is going to entail. That is to be announced on the Twins side, but they are trading Brock Stewart to the Los Angeles Dodgers. And the next person to join the Pirates in the three-player trade that includes the Yankees getting Dave Bednar is center fielder Brian Sanchez heading to the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Texas Rangers will get cash considerations by sending pitcher Cody Hughes. I'll go with CH in case I pronounce that wrong. And it's not 3:46 p.m. Eastern on our end yet, but that's what is coming up here from San Diego and Kansas City. So Freddie Furman, a catcher for the Royals, is going to the Padres. Freddie Furman is heading to San Diego. Kansas City is picking up pitcher Ryan Bergert, Ryan B. I'm going to go with Ryan B. And I haven't seen any more moves yet from the Toronto Blue Jays yet. So far we have, if I bring up just the Toronto Blue Jays here while we're on shared screen, they have only made moves on the 31st that are major trades, both here at deadline day early this morning and on the day of the doubleheader against the Baltimore Orioles. Juwan Watts-Brown went to the Baltimore Orioles, and Sir Anthony Dominguez went to the Toronto Blue Jays. The Blue Jays also traded left fielder Will Robinson on July the 10th for cash considerations, and they picked up in a trade involving the Miami Marlins on June 25th, they picked up Robinson Pena when they traded Colby Martin. All right, so those are the trades so far that we know of, even the ones leading up to the trade deadline. But so far, the trade the Blue Jays have made thus far at the deadline is acquiring Shane Bieber from the Guardians for K. Steven. Keegan Matheson on the trade. I'll leave a link to the TSN video, but he believes the Jays are swinging big and thinking of October. Speaking of October, October baseball is now 2 months away. Of course, you still got to start August, but that means you'd be 1 month of the season away. But we are 2 months away from getting ready for October baseball. In case you missed it earlier, the only ongoing game right now is the Tampa Bay Rays and the New York Yankees. That game is in a rain delay, it looks like. The one thing I did not mention when I went into the delay was that there is 1 out and 2 runners on the corner for the New York Yankees. Kevin Kelly is the pitcher at the time the game goes to rain. Also, due to an injury delay, Brandon Lau would switch from second base to first base, and Jose Caballero would take the spot of Jonathan Aranda and also play second base. So Brandon Lau doesn't change his spot in the lineup, but his position does change. He started the game as a second baseman, has become the first baseman since we went into a delay. Jose Caballero has replaced first baseman Jonathan Aranda, batting fourth, and is now playing second base at the delay. Still to come, the Braves and the Reds, 10 minutes after 7 p.m. So that coming up in about 3 hours time. And coming up at about 8 p.m., we've got the Rangers and the Mariners. The only other games on later on this evening. Football fans out there, the preseason starts this week with the Hall of Fame game tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern on NBC, featuring the Los Angeles Chargers and the Detroit Lions. Then next week, the actual whole preseason week one starts off with a triple header as the Indianapolis Colts battle the Baltimore Ravens. The Cincinnati Bengals battle the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Seattle Seahawks later in the evening take on the Las Vegas Raiders. Football alert, 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 football alert. Blue and red Bills Mafia, stand up. This season, when we are able to get things into you, when we are able to get things to you at any time, I am happy to announce that with the preseason starting tonight and then continuing next week, Bills postgame will be here on Sports for Beginners following a few of the Buffalo preseason games this week, or rather this season. Will it also be on the ice and behind the benches? Maybe, maybe not. We might get you all three. I'm not guaranteeing that. You might just get August 9th, but we will see. All right, let's keep this back to baseball related. I jumped the gun into the NFL. I mean, what can you say? It's Hall of Fame weekend in the NFL. Let's talk more trades, shall we? Not much happening here yet. We don't have much. We don't have too many more trades coming up, but let's see what else we can pick up here. Still waiting to find out the Brock Stewart trade. What's the return for the Twins? Let's see. Nope. No other trades yet have been made according to TSN yet. Let's check the tracker for MLB. I'm gonna quickly run the transactions refresh here, see if we can get any more trade deals in here. Reminder, as we get to last call, I will be talking about the upcoming homestand for the Blue Jays. That's coming up on last call, coming up in just a few moments. And you know what? What we're going to do now is we're going to take a break. When we come back, this is going to be the last break of the show. It is our third and final break of the show. I'm going to give you a few players that I feel might be next to be traded by the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, we don't know what other moves Ross Atkins is going to make before the 6 p.m. deadline coming up in 2 hours and 31 minutes from now. Who knows? He might make some late night decisions on Thursday, which is today. We're going to do that next, and then we're just going to jump right into last call. But right before we take a break, and it's going to be a minute and 30 seconds with two 30-second ads. One from our good buddy Nick Blazewitz, host of The Melting Pot on Sienna T Radio, and the other from our good friend over at Broadcast Map, Ali Musa. Speaking of Ali, he's got an upcoming sports chat on Broadcast Map, and I'll just quickly reveal to you who is joining him. Rod Mahood will be joining Ali in the studio on Monday, August the 4th. That's this Monday coming up live on Broadcast Map. Rod is the host of the Niagara Sports Report, and he will join Ali for a sports chat at 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Pacific. Listeners are encouraged to tune in via the provided links for the discussion. They are not provided here in the post Ali put out, but that is okay. I'm guessing it will also mean that it is available on the website to listen live via the Icecast, or it will be also live on the Broadcast Map YouTube channel. That looks like a great show. All right, more of that coming up later, but after the word from Broadcast Map and the word from our good buddy Nick Blazewitz, host of the Melting Pot, who do I think is next to be traded by the Blue Jays? Who knows? It could happen right before the deadline. We don't know. They've made two moves already. One on Tuesday, right before the nightcap of a doubleheader against Baltimore in a 4-game series. And then they made one earlier this morning. So are they done as far as at the deadline goes? I don't know. I'll give you a few candidates for me that could be next to be traded. Will they be traded at the deadline? Probably not. Will they be traded at off season? We'll see. Could they be traded during the continuation of the second half of the season? Yeah, possibly. You'll find out a couple of my candidates on my trade list next, along with Last Call, also on the way. Right after this, from Broadcast Map and the Melting Pot, every Saturday morning, only on Sienna T Radio from 11:30 a.m. Eastern to 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And as always, Sienna T Radio is making your day brighter one song at a time. Last call and who could be on the move either after the deadline, at the deadline, or after the season next on Sports for Beginners. Stay with us.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, two powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
Hey Blue Jays fans, a Blue Jays game recap for Sports for Beginners. It is your host of On the Ice and Behind the Benches, the podcast, Thomas McGregor here. While it may have come to an end on Sports for Beginners, I highly encourage you to stay tuned for further updates on Sports for Beginners as they are taking a new path. But don't be afraid to join me during the next road series as Blue Jays game recap continues on the Ice and Behind the Benches. From all of us at Sports for Beginners who put Blue Jays game recap into play, thank you very much for joining us and listening to the show. If you'd like to see it again, please let our host of Sports for Beginners know, and have yourselves a great All-Star weekend and a great second half. See you then.
Episode 22 of Season 4 of Sports for Beginners, a trade deadline, Blue Jays recap, and more special episode is on. In case we missed it, we did a 2 minutes of silence early on in the show to honor Nicole Fisher. We send our condolences as well as our prayers to Brian Fisher and the Fisher family, as well as the Fisher family's friends. We learned about that last night. Buffalo Bills, in case you missed me reading the tweet, I'll read it one more time if I can find it. They said, "We are saddened to hear wife of Bills area scout Brian Fisher has passed away, sending all of our love and deepest condolences to the Fisher family and friends." Alrighty. So, we do have a trade that has just broken out. Not necessarily regarding the Blue Jays, but it's the Orioles, a team we talked about earlier. And as I said that, we also have a trade breaking with the Rockies and the Yankees. Let's talk about the Oriole trade. And of course, it says 4:11 p.m. and of course 4:41 p.m. Eastern Time. Those are the timelines it says here on TSN's trade tracker. But Cedric Mullins is trading the Baltimore Orioles for the New York Mets. And looky here, looky here what the Orioles are getting in tie. And looky here what the Orioles are going to be getting. Third baseman Anthony Nunez, pitcher Chandler Marsh, that's pitcher Chandler Marsh, and they also are receiving Ramon Gomez, a pitcher as well. The Rockies in a trade with the Yankees. Yankees currently, as we speak, they are in a delay with the Tampa Bay Rays is 7-4 in the bottom of the fifth. Game has not resumed yet. At this point, if the game doesn't resume anytime soon, I think even though they're in the fifth inning, it's either going to get suspended or it's going to be called as a real-time game. But anyways, the New York Yankees making a move here. They trade second baseman Rock Riggio and pitcher Ben Shields to the Colorado Rockies to pick up pitcher Jake Bird in a trade. I don't know. I think I like the Mets trade better. I don't know how I feel about the Yankees trade. We're also waiting to find out if Steven Kwan does wind up getting traded. I haven't seen anything yet regarding that. All teams are being busy, even those that are, not playing right now. And I gotta be honest, I don't play baseball, but I gotta be honest, if I'm a player, I'd rather be waiting for the call that says I was traded or hanging out with the buds just before I get a call that says, just so you know, you've been traded to so-and-so. To be honest with you, I'm not sure I like the Yankee move to get Jake Bird. I'm not sure I like it. I really am not. Coming up later tonight, the Braves taking on the Reds at 7:10 p.m. Eastern. That coming up still in about 3 hours and 9 minutes from now. Well, actually 3 hours and 8 minutes from now, because it'll be 2 hours and 8 minutes to the time for the ball game itself, and that of course is on the eastern side of things. And then of course coming up at 9:40 p.m. we've got the Rangers and the Mariners, weather permitting for those games, the Reds and the Braves, and of course the Rangers and the Mariners. Bottom of the fifth tied in the early game, the Rays and the Yankees. Score is 7-4. Quickly want to run it down here before I talk about my Blue Jays that I feel like could be traded. I'll quickly run down the score for you here. Cody Bellinger got things started for the Yankees with a single in the bottom of the first. Giancarlo Stanton followed that up with a home run, his 8th of the season, to put the Yankees up 3-0. Bottom of the second, Ben Rice hit his 16th home run of the season. Touchdown Yankees. It's Yankees. In the bottom of the third, and Austin Slater 4 scores Jazz Chisholm Jr. to make it 7-0. Top 4, we got a Jonathan Aranda single to score Brandon Lau. We also have a Junior Camarero sac fly. That made it 7-2. After the single off the bat of Jonathan Aranda made it 7-1 Yankees. Now it is 7-2 after the sac fly. Still in the inning. Johnny DeLuca. Nice single here. Scores Josh Lowe. Makes it 7-3. Here come the Rays. And last but certainly not least, where we stand now, Taylor Walls with a double to make it 7-4. 13th double of the season for Taylor Walls. Johnny DeLuca scores on the play, and that is where we sit in the bottom of the inning of that game as they are delayed. All right, we're just about 2 hours and 4 minutes away from the 6 p.m. deadline. Our timer was actually cooking at 6:01 is when our timer is going to end, 6:01 p.m. But that's okay. Shout out to my boy Johnny Gienta of Gate 14, the podcast. I don't know, Johnny, if Ross Atkins is going to make any more moves, but how will you respond, Ross Atkins? I agree with that. Johnny tweeting on X, as I call it, Twitter, but Everybody else will call it X. I still call it Twitter. He tweets out 9 minutes ago, Ross, the Yankees punched back. How will you respond? Well, I can also see he was not a happy camper. The trade the Yankees were able to get David Bednar, in. Josh Goldberg of the Designated for Assignment podcast also said this 6 hours ago. Jays moving to a six-man rotation when Bieber comes back. That's actually a question. I don't know. I don't know, Josh. Are the Jays moving to a six-man rotation when Bieber comes back from injury? I'm surprised he hasn't even pitched this year. And I'm even more surprised that they even went and made the move. I don't know if they move Eric Lauer to a long relief role. If they end up doing that, I think that they probably would go to a six-man rotation. I don't know. Keegan Matheson 5 hours ago, shout out to my boy Keegan, said this Bieber edition is big and bold with an eye on a game one, game two, or game three start, which is exactly how the Blue Jays should be thinking. If they find a way to even keep him even for 2026 player option, that's a huge win. This FO has also done the trade and extend Barrios. Now, would they extend Jose Barrios? I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't. All right, let's see. Any more trades coming out? Let's see. It is now 4 p.m., which means it is also exactly 2 hours away from the deadline. Exactly. So, who else is going to get moved? Well, I'm going to tell you something. Whoever it is that gets moved next, I have a couple of candidates, and they may not make sense. I also think, also think that the Blue Jays don't see moving Orelvis Martinez. I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening. I really don't. We continue to monitor the trade trackers as they become available, but trades going down. We don't even know yet where Steven Kwan's going to end up. Where does he end up? That's my question. Let me tell you who I don't think has an opportunity to be traded for the Jays. Number one, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. You just extended it, dude. You're not going to trade him. Number two, Dalton Varsho. Dalton Varsho, he's expected to join the team on Friday, which is tomorrow. So maybe I don't hold my breath. He very well could be traded. What about, I don't know, Bo Bichette? I don't think Bo's going to get traded. I really don't. I really don't feel like that's going to happen. I really don't feel like it's going to happen. What about Ernie Clement? No, I don't think Ernie's going to go. If anybody's going to go, I think it's going to be between I think, to be honest with you, I think it's going to come down to, I don't think Anthony Santander, because he's injured, is going to go anywhere. I don't think Anthony Santander is going to go anywhere, but he's the first on my list of possible traded. I don't think he will go anywhere, but hey, never say never. Next up, Brandon Little. Don't think it makes sense, but if you can get a good arm or a good bat for Brandon Little, why not make the trade? And finally, Chad Green DFA'd him before we made the trade, so he doesn't really count unless he clears waivers or gets picked up. I haven't heard any news that he has been picked up yet off of waivers, so we will see what his assignment is. And I honestly think it's going to come down to Brandon Little, maybe Dalton Varsho, but I don't think that will happen. I also don't think Anthony Santander is going anywhere. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. will not go nowhere. Period. He won't go anywhere. Period. Davis Schneider? No, I don't think he's going anywhere. Will Wagner? Maybe. I don't think it will happen, but maybe. Never say never. I don't think it will happen, but never say never. Whoa, hello. We just got one here. I am hearing from Jeff Passan. I'm not really hearing it from it. I'm looking at it right now. That the Houston Astros are reportedly acquiring Carlos Correa in a trade with the Twins? I wonder. It's not yet up on the TSN area, but I wonder, what's the deal? Who is the trade? Who are the trade candidates? I wonder. BetMGM 5 hours ago breaking. I don't think this is real, but sources are saying the Yankees have traded shortstop Anthony Volpe to the Savannah Bananas in exchange for designated hitter Dakota Stilts, Albritton. Interesting. I don't know. I don't think that's happening. Well, we will see. We will see what happens. Personally, folks, I feel like the Blue Jays will be making some moves over the course of the Kansas City Royals series. I also feel there could be some moves made. I also feel there's probably going to be some moves made faster than you could say, oh my goodness, I wish he did that earlier on. Now, we don't know who else is getting thrown out. We don't know. That we don't know. I guess the big question would be, who do you get, or what rather do you get out of the trades you've made? If you're the Blue Jays, you've made a trade for Sir Anthony Dominguez. You did that prior to the second game of the Tuesday double trouble. Then you made a move earlier this morning. Is that it? Are you done? I personally don't believe that, but we don't have more news on whether or not that is the case. Like, you never know what trades will pop up. I honestly like the trade for Shane Bieber. Not so much looking at the trade for Sir Anthony Dominguez, but I did like what I saw from him the 2 games against his former team that he got a chance to play in. All right, folks. We're about an hour, 43 minutes away from the trade deadline. It is 4:16 p.m. Eastern. So, what we don't quite yet know is who is starting for the Blue Jays and the Royals. Well, CBS and The Score are telling me that it will be, for the Kansas City Royals, it will be Kevin Gausman against Michael Wacha tomorrow. Saturday, we will have Max Scherzer against Noah Cameron. And Sunday, it's going to go Bassett against Seth Lugo. I don't know. As I mentioned earlier on, when we jumped into NFL, the Hall of Fame game is tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. And I also mentioned some news coming out of Broadcast Map. Rod Mahood is going to be in the area on Monday on Broadcast Map. Looking forward to that. Should be a good one. And Ali, I'll tell you right now, I am going to make it a goal to try to get in there when this is going live on Broadcast Map. I am going to try to make it out there as quickly as I can. I know I may be a little bit behind, maybe a lot behind when it comes to Broadcast Map, but you know what? That's okay. We're learning how to do it. And like I had said last episode, when I brought up that we were 3 episodes away from celebrating 3 years of sports for beginners, we are now 2 episodes away from that, as the 25th episode of season 4 will be when we celebrate our milestone of 3 great years. Maybe not great years, but good years of doing the podcast. It was on August the 18th, which was a Wednesday in 2022, a Thursday, I should say, in 2022, when we began recording. So on the Monday, 18th of August, we will be celebrating that milestone, as well as getting you ready for Pirates and Blue Jays. We got a show for you coming on Monday. Episode 23 comes your way on Monday, the 4th of August. Actually, sorry, on the 7th it comes your way. And that will be a startup of Blue Jays weekly recap. We'll recap the homestand and half of the current road trip going on at that particular time. That will be a 3-game set with the Colorado Rockies. We'll also set up the Dodgers and, of course, the next 6-game homestand, which is the Cubbies and the Texas Rangers coming into Toronto. And that will be a week-to-week occurrence as we continue on season 4 of the podcast. Show will be recorded on Thursday, August 7th, 2024. 2025, probably around the time that we were going to schedule this for 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, but we will see. It is going to be a pre-recorded show dropping on Friday, August the 8th, 2025. Today's show could drop on August 1st, 2025. That's this Friday. And of course, it also may drop between the 2nd or the 3rd of August, which are Sunday and Saturday is the 2nd of August. And with that said, next time on Sports for Beginners, it is Blue Jays Weekly Recap Introduction on episode 23 of season 4. Then on episode 24 of season 4, we'll do another Let's Go Courtside. This time that will be leading off. Plus, as we inch closer to the NFL football season, we are going to go on the gridiron on a segment I like to call Let's Go on the Field, getting a look at the NFL preseason so far. And we even get my top takes from the Bills' preseason performance so far. We'll wrap it up with women's hockey talk, seeing what's going on around the PWHL and elsewhere. For now, Blue Jay fans believe Ross Atkins is not done. Trade deadline coming up at 6 p.m. Eastern. That's coming up in about 33 minutes from now. An hour and 33 minutes from now. It is 4:26 p.m. Eastern as we speak with you. That is on the world clock right now, 9:26 p.m. in London, 10:26 p.m. in Paris, and 1:26 right now Pacific time. Pacific time. It is 3:26 p.m. Central time, so it is very close. The deadline is very close. Next time on Sports for Beginners, we're all about the Blue Jays. It's a Blue Jays weekly recap next time on Sports for Beginners. Thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate you being with us for the journey. My name is Scott McGregor. Like the videos if you like what you're hearing on our show. Hit subscribe if you really like it. Tell all of your friends. Perhaps listen to a previous episode. Listen to the next episode next week on Sports for Beginners. Maybe take a look at some of our rising content, all that jazz. Please remember, no matter how long an episode may be, we strongly encourage that you do not need to rush through episodes. Because let's face it, it's not a race to finish an episode as another episode becomes available. I had to take down the episodes on YouTube that regarded season 4 because they were in copyright, but I did not take them down on Spotify. Well, technically I did take down 21 of season 4, episode 21 of season 4, but brought it back. I also had to take down a Blue Jays Tigers recap from On the Ice and Behind the Benches. We will have those out, as well as the Orioles series out, as well as we can get that out to you. Lots and lots of deals being done, but that is it for us. Thank you so much for being with us. I will talk to you on the first edition of Sports for Beginners Presents Blue Jays Weekly Recap. And that's next time on Sports for Beginners. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, I am Scott McGregor, and this has been Sports for Beginners. Thank you so much for listening to Sports for Beginners. If you would like to learn more about the show, you can visit the podcast Facebook page or visit the official website. You can also send us an email at sportsforbeginners podcast8231@gmail.com. As we always remind you, it is not goodbye, it is until next time.